So much. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I am delighted to be with you. My name is Carrie Abner, and I have the privilege and honor of serving as the Vice President of ICF Credentials and Standards at ICF Global Headquarters. It's really nice to be with you, and thank you, Rehan, for the wonderful invitation to join me today. Today, we get to talk about something that I get very excited about, which is credentialing. So we're going to dive in just a moment. Rehan, is there anything that we should pause before we dive into the presentation today?
We had a couple of questions from members about credentials and hours. Would you like us to keep them till the end or to say them now?
Great question. So if you want to, we'll hold questions till the end. It is a small group, so if you have a burning question that's related to one of the slides that we'll go through, please feel free to raise your digital hand under the reactions option on your slide or on your Zoom screen there, and we can pause and take a question. Otherwise, we will have plenty of time at the end for lots of Q&A, and I'll provide any information that I possibly can. Okay?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to add that Carrie is the Vice President of ICF Credentialed and Standards, and we are very honored to have you with us. Thank you for accepting our invitation at the ICF Saudi chapter.
Thank you. It's my honor and pleasure really to be with you all today. So thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to share my screen, and I do have some slides to share with you all. Like I said, we've got a great size group today. So if you do have a question as we're going through these slides, please just raise your digital hand. And Rehan, I will ask you to help me if I don't see a hand, just interrupt and let me know, and we'll be happy to kind of stop and pause and take that question at that time. Okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Excellent. Well, today we're going to talk about the value of ICF credentials. Like I said, my name is Carrie Abner. I am in the position of Vice President of ICF Credentials and Standards, which is one of the family organizations of the One ICF family of organizations. Here on this screen, you see the different family organizations that are included in ICF, Credentials and Standards being one of several. We also have ICF Professional Coaches, which is essentially our membership body that also supports the chapters like ICF Saudi Arabia chapter. We have ICF Coaching Education, which is the body that serves to accredit coaching education programs. The ICF Foundation, which supports all kinds of pro bono and social impact efforts around the world that involve coaching. ICF Coaching and Organizations, which is an organization dedicated to internal coaching and promoting a coaching culture within companies, government agencies, and nonprofit organizations. And ICF Thought Leadership Institute, which is the body that serves to look at the future of coaching and anticipate and help the ICF and coaches around the world prepare for that exciting future. Collectively, ICF represents more than 58,000 individual coach practitioners around the world who are members of the organization in more than 160 countries and territories. We also represent more than 52,000 ICF credential holders. So those credentials that have earned one of our 3 flagship credentials that we'll talk about today. More than 2,000 accredited coaching education providers, and more than 140 chapters in more than 100 countries and territories around the world. So it's a really exciting organization to be a part of, and I'm delighted to be with you to talk about the area in which I serve, which is ICF Credentials and Standards.
Carrie, thank you so much. Can I interrupt you?
Absolutely.
Saud is here, the president of ICF Saudi chapter. And Saud, can you hear us? Hello?
Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, Rehan.
Yeah. So
hi, Carrie. Thank you very much. I mean, thank you very much. I really appreciate accepting our invitation. and talking to our community here in Saudi Arabia. It's really a pleasure, I mean, having you talk about credentialing. We are so proud of our chapter and number of credentials we have in our chapter. I think we have more than 120 different credentials in our community. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for sharing your experience and telling us more about it, also motivating our chapter member to go for the credentials, those either to go to the next level or for those who may be working on their credentials.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much, Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be with you all and an honor. So thank you very much for the invitation and for creating the space for us to talk about credentialing and its importance for individual coach practitioners and for the profession itself. So it's a delight to be with you, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you, Rehan. So our purpose, our reason of being at ICF Credentials and Standards is to elevate professional standards in coaching. That's why we exist, and that's the mission that we strive to achieve every single day. In short, our hope, our aim is to allow ICF professional coaches to shine as individuals who have achieved high standards in education, experience, and demonstrated practice, who commit to high ethical standards. And we try to do so through our own standards for certification, just like we hold credential holders to the highest quality of standards for their practice. We also hold our credentialing program to the highest standards of certification practice. That's grounded in research, empirical evidence, and a quality standardized process. It's a very complex certification program with 3 levels of credentialing, many different application pathways with which professional coaches can apply for a credential designed to increase access, and individual sets of requirements for each level of credential. But our hope and our goal is to deliver a program that is simple and easy to navigate, that's accessible, and that motivates coach practitioners to achieve high standards and to continue to learn and grow throughout their coaching journey. That's our goal. And we want to help credentialed coaches to shine. So I want to pause. I've shared a little bit about what we do, and I'm looking forward to going into further depth on the credentialing process and the value that credentials offers in a moment. But I'd like to pause and ask you all. We are now in January of 2024. We've started a new calendar year. And I'm so curious, what are some of the goals that each of you have on your list of goals or aspirations for the year ahead? What do you hope to do, learn, or achieve in 2024? So I'll pause. Feel free to unmute yourself, or if you'd rather to chat in what you're hoping to do or achieve this year, feel free to do it in the chat as well.
Dina raised her hand.
Wonderful. Dina.
Yes, hi again.
Hello.
In this year, I wish that I could earn my ACC credential, and I applied before, and I failed the first time, and it was I got 457, and the passing score was 460. So I was very sad, and I have a request if for later, if you can have a report about the weakness part of why we failed, because really I was wondering why I did fail, and then I applied again this month for the pilot exam. So I will be waiting the results in May, and hopefully I could pass. So this is first wish in my wish list.
Thank you, Dina. and we look forward to supporting you. Thank you for your commitment to come back to the exam and try again. That is a commitment to your professionalism that's really clear. And so we look forward to supporting you. Happy to answer some of those questions around the score report as well at the end of our conversation. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that. So Lynn, it looks like, is sharing that she also hopes to achieve the ACC by July and to accumulate 50 CCEs by the end of the year. It looks like you're off to a wonderful start by tuning into this webinar in January. So you're already accumulating those CCEs. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Wonderful. And so we've got another, Christine has already earned the PCC, but is hoping to acquire a certification in coaching children and adolescents. That's wonderful. And to set up a new business. That's fantastic. Thank you, Christine. Wonderful. Any other shares before we head back into the presentation? Well, we look forward to supporting each of you in whatever goals you have this year. Great. Okay, Juliana says looking forward to beginning your coaching journey this year. Great. Thank you. And Juliana, let us know how we can support you with that. And Rasha is hoping to pursue the PCC this year. It looks like. Great. Wonderful. Some excellent goals. All right. Well, thank you all so much for sharing, and please do let us know. At the end of this presentation, I'll include our contact information. So please let us know how we can support you in your individual journeys. That's what we are here to do. So let's talk a little bit about the value of the ICF credential and what it means to individuals, but also what it means to the coaching profession in general. It is so important that we have high levels of professionalization in the coaching profession. We are a relatively new profession in the grand scheme of things. If you look at the history of professional disciplines, coaching at being about 30 to 40 years old is quite young. So we're in our early stages of development, and to establish ourselves as a long-term profession, it's important to show the value and integrity of the professional practice. ICF credentials provide one way to do so, to increase standards and to ensure that practitioners who are practicing in this discipline meet those standards in a uniform and standardized way. Coaching is also, generally speaking, a non-regulated profession. That means governments don't have specific requirements for coaches to earn in order to enter the discipline of practice. Again, credentials allow coaching to be a self-regulating profession. By offering a credential and instituting the standards and the integrity of that process, we are able to continue to be a self-regulating profession because of the standards of practice that we ensure for our own body and community around the world. For individual coach practitioners, the value of the credential allows one to demonstrate that they meet high standards of practice and also high ethical standards in a non-regulated field. So to be able to show to potential clients that you have met high standards, that credential allows you to do so. And the fact that the ICF credentials are global in their scope, they're recognized globally, allows you to demonstrate your competence, not just within your own local markets, but around the world, which is really powerful and valuable. For clients, even those who do not require their coach to have a credential, whether it's an individual client or an organizational client, the credential also shows not just the value and integrity of the individual practitioner who holds an ICF credential, but it also shows the commitment of the professional practice in general, to high standards of professional practice, ethical conduct, et cetera. So it's important not just for individual practitioners, it's important for the entire profession that we have these credentials. And again, one of the things that we are so proud of at ICF is that we are the most globally recognized professional coaching certification in the marketplace. We have, as I mentioned earlier, credential holders in more than 145 countries and territories worldwide. We have members in more than 160 countries and territories worldwide. And increasingly, the ICF credentials are seen as the global gold standard for practice, demonstrating that credential holders who have an ACC, PCC, or MCC have really committed themselves to rigorous education, to experience, and independent assessment as a validation of their competence and skills, as well as committed themselves to the ICF Code of Conduct and Ethics. That's really important. So in our program, we have 3 primary goals for ICF credentials. First, we want to recognize and highlight the achievements of individual coach practitioners. So someone who has gone through the rigorous training that's required for a credential, who has demonstrated that they have achieved a certain number of experience hours and have passed the exam. We want to recognize that professional achievement. It's important. It's a tremendous milestone in the coaching journey. And so we want to recognize that. In addition to that, however, we also want to support and motivate ongoing professional development and growth. And we do that through the 3-year renewal cycle for each credential. So once someone earns a credential, it's not a static, lifelong credential. Rather, credentialed coaches have to renew their credential every 3 years to demonstrate that they are maintaining their competence and staying up to date on the current best practice in coaching. We also just want to deliver a high quality credential to the global coaching community and to the clients that coaches serve. We want our credentials to really mean something for those who go through the process to earn them, so that they maintain their value over time. You know, credentials have been a long-term part of the ICF portfolio of services that we offer. We instituted our credentialing program shortly after the ICF was established in 1995. Our first credentials were awarded in 1998. So shortly after our start as an organization, we started credentialing. But it's become an increasingly important part of what we do as an association, a global association of coach practitioners. But both for organizations and for individuals, that importance, that value of credentials is on the rise. So why is that more important now than ever before? I would suggest there are a couple of reasons that are outlined here on this slide. First, coaching is growing. As you probably have seen in your own areas, coaching is growing as a professional discipline. There are more and more individuals who are experiencing coaching and then motivated to become a coach themselves. We saw a huge increase just during the pandemic itself, where coaching became a really appealing professional practice for many individuals around the world. And because it's a non-regulated profession, someone could call themselves a coach today, even if they don't have the education, the experience, the training, et cetera, to really serve effectively in that role. So credentials, again, provide that validation that's so important in this increasingly popular or crowded market of coaching. And, you know, that's one of the things that keeps popping up in our global coaching study year after year after year, is that individuals who are not trained, not experienced, and call themselves a coach are one of the largest obstacles or challenges the long-term sustainability of the profession. So that's one of the reasons that the credential is more important than ever before. But it's also important because clients are recognizing the value of education and coaching and the credential itself as a validation that they are working with someone who is qualified and competent to serve in that role. And that goes both for individual clients of coaches, but also those organizations who hire internal coaches to serve their entire organizations. It pays to be credentialed. We'll talk about this in a little bit in a couple of slides, but those coaches who have a credential earn more on average than their non-credentialed peers. So earning a credential increases the net revenue for those who are providing coaching services. And increasingly, as I mentioned earlier, more and more coaches are coming into the fold, and more coaches are recognizing the power and the importance of credentialing. So almost 3 in 4 coaches indicate that earning a credential is really important for them. So it's increasingly important to be able to validate competence. Let's talk a little bit about the value of coaching to clients and the value of credentialing to clients. In the ICF Global Consumer Awareness Study in 2022, we did that in partnership with PwC, and we do that routinely. So we do a global consumer awareness study. I think it's every 4 years or so. We found that for clients, the ICF credential demonstrates not just the qualifications and skill and commitment to high professional ethical practice for coaches. It also demonstrates the integrity of the entire coaching profession. So kind of what I mentioned earlier is that it's important for an individual client to see that in their coach practitioner with whom they're partnering, but it's also a demonstrated of the professional commitment as well. Clients who have engaged in coaching indicate that working with a credentialed coach is really important. About 85% of clients indicate that their coach having a credential is really important to them. And nearly 8 in 10 indicated that it would be important or very important for their coach to hold a credential. Again, that credential provides a mark of quality, assuring coaching consumers that they're working with an experienced and competent practitioner. It also, we're also seeing that those who work with a credentialed coach generally have a more satisfying experience. So 76% of consumers who participated in a coaching relationship said they were satisfied with the experience. But when you look at those who worked with a credentialed coach, that rate was higher at 92%. So generally speaking, there's a higher rate of satisfaction for clients who are reporting their satisfaction with working with a coach versus a credentialed coach. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there are higher reported income for coaches who have an ICF credential, about 25% average higher revenues from their coaching services. So credentialed coaches are able to command higher fees for their services. All these things, of course, are really important, but there's something more I would suggest about earning a credential, and that's that motivation to continue to learn and grow. That pride and honor of earning an ICF credential is huge. It's tremendous. It's an incredibly important milestone on the coaching journey for any individual practitioner. And there's really no value that you can set on earning that credential and having that feeling, but it doesn't end there. Again, for credential holders, we require every 3 years that the credential be renewed for it to stay active. And for it to be renewed, we require coaches to engage in continuous coaching education, mentor coaching, supervision, activities that continue to elevate their coaching skills and help them grow as a practitioner. And that is hugely important for coaches as well. It's an essential part of our program, but it's an essential part of our commitment to the ongoing professionalization of coaching. So we're very proud of that. And we hear from credentialed coaches that process of engaging in regular ongoing learning and growth is tremendously valuable to them as well. So we are proud to offer 3 different levels of credentials, each with their own specific, unique requirements for experience, for education, for mentor coaching, and of course for assessment as well. The first level is the ACC. For the Associate Certified Coach credential, for the practice coach, we call it, we require 60 hours of coaching education and 100 hours of experience, along with 10 hours of mentor coaching. Okay, for the Professional Certified Coach level, we require 125 hours of education and 500 hours of experience, along with mentor coaching, 10 hours of required mentor coaching and assessment. And for the Master Certified Coach level, we require 200 hours of education, 2,500 hours of experience. So this is really someone who is engaged in coaching practice for many years, and of course, passing an assessment as well as mentor coaching. And we're also offering, since just last year, our new advanced certification in team coaching. This also provides an opportunity for credentialed coaches to demonstrate their advanced knowledge and skills in a specialized discipline of coaching practice, that is team coaching. And many congratulations again to Rehan, who recently earned her ACTC as part of her own coaching journey. So that's a tremendous
Thank you very
achievement.
much. Thank you, Carrie.
Of course. So in a world where anyone can call themselves a coach, we're really proud that 50,000 individual coach practitioners have invested in themselves and in their career by earning an ICF credential, which demonstrates the gold standard in coach certification. We're really proud of that. It's exciting. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we have grown so much around the world. When we first started the credentialing program in 1998, we credentialed 34 individuals, all of whom were in North America. I believe one individual of the original 34 was in Canada, the rest was in the United States. So it's so exciting, 25 years later, to look and see that we now have expanded our reach, our scope, our accessibility around the world. As of the end of January, we had 51,988 coaches around the world in 143 countries and territories who hold an ACC, a PCC, or an MCC credential. That number is even higher now. We're now over 52,000 in just the few weeks of January. You can see the breakdown there for the individual credential levels: over 27,000 ACCs, over 22,000 PCCs, and more than 2,000 MCCs worldwide. We also have just under 300 ACTCs around the world, which is also very exciting, and that number is rising. We're also very proud of Saudi Arabia, where there's been tremendous growth in the credentialed community over recent years. Right now, as of the end of December, there were 241 credential holders in Saudi Arabia itself. 159 ACCs, 75 PCCs, and 4 MCCs. And that's reflective of 8% growth just year over year since 2022. So that's very exciting. We're really excited and happy to support the continued growth in the number of credential holders there in Saudi Arabia. So we often ask credential holders, what value they see in the credential, why it's important to them, why they engage in the process, because it is a very robust, rigorous process. It takes years sometimes to earn an initial credential. 87% in a survey of credential holders who renewed or upgraded their credential last year, 87% either agreed or strongly agreed that their credential validates their specialized knowledge in coaching. So that was really important to the vast majority of those who renewed their credential last year. 83% agreed or strongly agreed that the credential indicates their level of coaching competence. 94% either agreed or strongly agreed that the credential demonstrates their attainment of professional standards of coaching practice. And another 94% indicated that the credential enhances their professional credibility. More than 2/3 of respondents indicated that their credential increases their clients' confidence, so that it was really important, not just to them for their own personal achievement, but for their clients as well. There's a QR code on this screen, and here you can hear from other credential holders on the value that they have experienced in earning the credential in the process, and what it's brought to them in terms of opportunity. So I would encourage you to not just take it from me, but to listen to your peers around the world in why earning a credential is so important. Now, we've got lots of great questions. I loved Dina's question earlier about the exam and some changes that I'm happy to report that are coming up this year for the exam and the score reports for the exam. And I'll be happy to go ahead and answer that question and then entertain any additional questions that you all may have. So I'll stop my screen share so that we can see each other just a little bit better. Perfect. Okay, so Dina, and please correct me if I get this wrong, but the question that I heard from you is you're about to retake the exam. Thank you for your continued commitment to that process, and we look forward to supporting you with that. And one of the questions that you had was about the feedback and the different dimensions or domains of the exam. So right now our score reports indicate an overall score and the overall results, a pass or not meeting that passing standard. Based on feedback like yours, later this year, we will be updating our score reports that will show relative performance in each domain of the exam. There are 4 domains of the exam that align with the 4 domains of our competency model. So the foundation, the co-creating the relationship, communicating effectively, and cultivating learning and growth. And so the updated score reports will demonstrate a candidate's performance relative to the overall score in each of those domain areas. It won't provide specific scores in those domain areas, but it will provide a bar chart that shows performance category. So I thank you for that feedback. It's helpful for us to get feedback like that because it allows us to make improvements to our process and our program. And so this is just one example of how we are taking that feedback seriously. So thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And
Thank you.
Dina, Muhammad is asking in the chat, is there any practices that we can exercise to pass the knowledge test?
Great question. Yes, there are. So ICF Credentials and Standards offers a set of 8 sample questions on our website. So that's one very quick and easy way to get some practice is to review those sample questions. Now, there are practice courses and practice exams that exist in the marketplace. Those are not provided by ICF Credentials and Standards, but rather from mentor coaches and coach educators who have developed their own courses, prep materials, etc. So there are a variety of those out in the marketplace. LinkedIn is a great place to search for and find those courses and practice tests, as well as Facebook. There's a Facebook group that supports individuals on their credentialing journey. And many of those opportunities are promoted within that page as well. So I would encourage you to look for those opportunities if you're looking for additional practice opportunities as you prepare for the exam. I can't endorse any particular one because they are not ICFs, but I do know that they exist, and so have heard good things about many of them. So I would encourage you to look into that opportunity as well. Great question.
Thank you, Muhammad and Carrie. Actually, we had a question from Arish, but I'm not sure if Arish, can you hear us? Arish Madani, hello. Thank you, Muhammad. I think, shall we wait till she replies? Anybody else has a question? Go off mute, write in the chat. Raise your hand. Okay. Can I ask you till Arish? Oh, Arish is here. Okay. So, okay. So she's asking me to ask you. So, Arish had a question about her credential. I think she completed 118 hours. She needs 7 hours, and she's asking, can she use the CCEs to apply for the credential? Thank you.
Yes. So, and Arish, I believe you're thinking about applying for PCC. Is that correct?
Arish, you are applying for PCC, right? Yes.
Okay. So yes, a candidate may use CCEs to account for their coaching education hours. We do require 125 educational hours for PCC. So it sounds like you're almost there with your coaching education that you've already completed, just a few additional hours. You can use CCEs for that. You will apply through the ICF PCC portfolio pathway if you use any CCEs or any non-accredited training. So just wanted to let you know that. And the portfolio pathway requires a performance evaluation. So you'll submit 2 recordings of your coaching along with accompanying transcripts to be evaluated by a trained ICF portfolio assessor. But you may use those CCEs. One thing to watch out for as you do that, just to be very transparent, and the total number of hours of your coaching education, about 80% of that needs to be in core competency credits. So depending on the existing ratio of your core competency versus resource development credits, it may impact the type of CCE hours you will need to complete to meet that requirement for the portfolio pathway. But all of that information is on our website. I'll be happy to share a direct link to where you can find more information and details about that. But yes, you can use CCEs as part of your educational requirement for PCC.
Thank you very much, Carrie and Arish. I hope that helped. Anybody else? Other questions, guys? So, yes, Muhammad, you have a question? Please go ahead. You can type or... he said yes, but I can't see anything in the chat. Oh, here. For ACC, do we select portfolio, the portfolio path?
Okay. Great question. It all depends. The application pathway that you pursue depends on your coaching education. So if you have completed a level 1 or a level 2 accredited program, you would apply through the level 1, level 2 ACTP application pathway. And so in that pathway, candidates do not provide a performance evaluation recording and transcript. And that's because they've already completed the performance evaluation process as part of their coach education. So that the program, level 1 or a level 2 program, includes a performance evaluation as part of the educational experience. If you have completed any kind of non-accredited education or CCE hours to meet the 60 hours of education required for ACC, you would apply for the portfolio through the portfolio pathway. In addition, we offer an ACC ACSTH pathway. And that pathway recognizes education that was previously accredited as accredited coach specific training hours, or ACSTH. We used to have an accreditation called the ACSTH accreditation. Those programs are no longer delivering education, but we still recognize those certificates. So if someone has previously completed an ACSTH program, they would apply through the ACC ACSTH pathway. If you have specific questions, we do offer a survey on our website that helps walk candidates through their education to identify the best, most appropriate application pathway for them. So I'll be happy in just a moment, as once all of the questions are answered, I'll grab those links and I'll add those to the chat so that you have those.
Rasha, thank you, Muhammad. Thank you, Carrie. Rasha, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Rihan, and thank you, Carrie, for this amazing credential journey that we had today. So my question would be is that if I want to go from the ACC to the PCC, is it if there's any difference if I did that through the three years I have, in the renewal period, or if I did it afterwards? What would be the difference between if I did it through the 3 years or afterwards? Yes, please.
Great question. And it's really up to the individual. So we would support you as a candidate either way. If you have already attained all of your education and experience hours, as well as the mentor coaching required for PCC, you could absolutely upgrade your existing credential to the PCC within that 3-year period. In that case, you would apply, you would submit a new application for the PCC, and depending on your application pathway, the application fee may vary, but you would apply for the PCC. Upon submission of your PCC application, as long as your ACC is still active, if it is up for renewal or up for expiration within 10 months, we would go ahead and auto extend your ACC while your PCC application is being reviewed. That allows you to maintain your credential, your active credential status while your PCC is being reviewed and you wait for the exam. So that's one possibility. Others decide just to wait and they want to go through a full renewal cycle as they're trying to meet those eligibility requirements for the PCC. So either way is perfectly appropriate depending on the individual candidate. So we're happy to support in any way.
Thank you for that. So can I add another question, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's also about being a mentor coach. So being a mentor coach, I believe that you would need to be at least 3 years in your ACC credential part. And in that case, if I do renewal for the PCC during my ACC, the 3 years, how can I do that with regarding to the mentor coach if I want to apply for that?
Great. So to serve as a mentor coach, individuals must be a PCC or MCC credentialed coach or hold an ACC with one full cycle of the credential, meaning through renewal. So if you applied for PCC and were awarded the PCC next month, let's say, after you completed the exam, et cetera, you could start serving as a PCC at any point from that point on, okay? For individuals who are seeking a PCC or below, right? Alternatively, if you wanted to serve as a mentor coach, you would, at the ACC level, you would need to go through the renewal process and be renewed in order to serve as an eligible mentor coach. So again, that timing does come into play a little bit. You may serve as a mentor coach immediately, having a PCC or an MCC. For ACCs, we do require that ACCs go through one full cycle of their credential through renewal before they start mentor coaching new coaches. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does, but if I just want to clarify one thing. So if I do want to apply for the ACC renewal, I mean the mentor coach, I need to wait for the 3 years of the ACC part and then apply to become a mentor coach.
That's correct.
Correct. And if I do upgrade during the 3 years to the PCC, what would be the case then?
So let me ask a question. Are you talking specifically about the mentor coach registry?
Yes, if I want to become a mentor coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do not have to be listed on the mentor coach registry to practice as a mentor coach. But to be on the mentor coach registry, you do have to have a credential for 3 years. And you have to have both your active credential as well as a membership with the ICF. So it's more of a marketing opportunity. And because of that, it has a different set of requirements. It is not required to be on the mentor coach registry in order to practice mentor coaching. And so there is some distinction between those sets of requirements. I'll be happy to provide a link to those requirements or some information to those requirements, either in the chat, or I can follow up with Rahan with those requirements after our session today.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course. Great question.
Thank you, Rasha and Carrie. So Christine is asking, can I apply to renew my credential after it has expired? Is it possible?
Yes, great question. You can up to 1 year following your expiration date. So if your expiration date, Christine, was December 31st of 2023, you can renew your credential at any point before December 31st of 2024, okay? Now, we offer 60 days of what we call a grace period. So from January 1st through February 29th of this year, your credential would remain in active status. That's to allow someone to submit the renewal application and for us to review that renewal application before their credential, goes into what we call a lapsed status. Beginning March 1st, any credentials that were due on December 31st will be considered lapsed. So it's not active, and you would need to remove your credential from your name, your website, et cetera. It would not be an active credential at that point in time. But you can still renew it. For each month during your lapsed period, it is required that you complete an additional 1.2 CCEs of education. So if your credential lapsed December, or if your credential expiration date was December 31st and you renewed your credential in March, so that would be 1 month of lapse, instead of submitting 40 hours of CCEs, you would have to submit 41.2 CCEs for your renewal application. We do have a full schedule of all of the renewal requirements for a lapsed credential on our website. So I will be happy to provide a link and some information to that in my follow-up as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Christine, and thank you, Carrie. Arij is following up with her previous question about using CCEs for the credential.
Okay.
She said, I have 75 hours ACSTH and 50
Okay.
hours CCEs. So that's the case. So you said if it is ACSTH, they follow this path. So
if she is applying Arish, if you are applying for PCC and you submit any CCEs, you would apply through the portfolio pathway. Even if you have an ACSTH certificate, if it's combined with CCEs or non-accredited education, you would apply through the portfolio.
Sorry, I think somebody talked by mistake. Yes. So Arish, your question is answered. Right. So, all right. If nobody else has a question, oh, Dina. Okay.
One
Dina,
last
please.
question.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
If I got my credential ACC, should I renew also my membership, or it's if I got my ACC, it doesn't matter if I'm an ICF member?
Great question. So it's not required. Our credential program is distinct and separate from membership. And that's important for a variety of reasons, because the credential is all about professional competence. So it's not about your membership, being part of a club or community, anything like that. Now, there are some great benefits of having and maintaining a membership in addition to a credential. First, it provides the discounted rate for any kind of credential application, your renewal of your credential, et cetera. But it also provides opportunities that are free and low cost for continuous coach education. So as a member, you have full access to communities of practice, which offer regular CCE opportunities, et cetera, as well as the networking and the ability to connect with ICF members really around the world. So there are some wonderful benefits to maintaining a membership, but it is certainly not required to hold a credential. We have non-members who never become members but earn a credential, right? They're only interested in the credential. We always encourage membership as well, because there are so many great benefits and values there, but it's certainly not required.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Dina and Carrie. Actually, Lynn, you raised your hand. Are you still there? Hello?
Yes, sorry. I think Carrie, thank you for the explanation. I think you explained it because I was going to ask, if I apply for ACC without being a member, will my credential include membership to ICF? But I've just understood that it will not.
It will not.
Okay.
You can certainly become a member, and then that will earn your discounted rate for the application for your credential.
Yes.
So if you are interested in membership, do that first, because then you get the discounted rate for your credential application. It's a lower rate. It's a savings of about $150 US. So that's really important to know in advance. But you do not have to be a member to earn a credential or to apply for a credential.
Thank you for that clarification. I noted that there was a discount, but I imagined that I'd still be a member with ACC. So I was going to go straight for ACC. Yeah. But now I know they're separate. So thank you.
Of course, of course.
Thank you, Lynn and Carrie. So we have 4 minutes left. Any other questions? Anyone?
My last recommendation, sorry.
Okay.
I felt that's unfair to have the same passing score for all, for ACC, PCC, and MCC, and why you don't look for the marginal failure, for example. I felt it's unfair, honestly.
Thank you, Dina. It's a great question and a great insight. And honestly, when we first launched our new exam, we anticipated having differentiated passing scores for different credential levels. But we follow a very rigorous process for setting passing standards, which requires us to hold a pilot test of our exam first. And in that pilot test, which we held in 2021, we did it was like a 4 or 5 month long pilot test where credential candidates took both the old CKA exam as well as the credentialing exam. So we gathered a lot of data from that pilot test. There was not a significant difference in performance between ACCs and PCCs. And therefore, it is fundamentally based on data that we decided not to set a differentiated cut score for the exam for the different credential levels because we did not have the data to support it. That said, we are currently pilot testing another exam for ACC specifically. And that exam is operational right now through the end of February. So candidates like Dina, you could be eligible for this ACC pilot exam.
I did it. I did it.
Oh, you did it. Okay, so
Yes.
you participated. Wonderful. Okay, so that exam, once we look at the pilot data and we make sure that it's performing the way that we anticipate it to perform, if it does, and all candidates that go through the pilot will be, they will get the results and either, and have the potential to earn the ACC through that pilot process. But if the exam itself performs the way that we anticipate that it will, later this year, we will have a completely different exam for the ACC level. Now, it's all dependent on that pilot data. We do not want to put out a test in operational form if it's not performing the way that we anticipate that it will. But assuming that the data comes back as we expect it to, we will have a completely different exam for ACC, most likely towards the very end of 2024. So,
okay.
Yeah, and so
And
that will, I think, support the candidate experience as they're going from ACC to PCC. They'll have a different exam, different type of exam format, et cetera.
Yeah, and what is the passing score for the ACC pilot exam?
We don't have it yet because it's all dependent on the data. That's why
okay.
there's the delayed results for the pilot, is that we have to take all of that data from the pilot and then we pull together a workshop panel of credentialed coaches to help us set that passing score. So it's a pretty robust methodology to do that, all scientific and evidence-based.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for participating in that. That's really important. We need pilot participants to test it out for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, Carrie, it's the end of the hour. Thank you very much for joining us. It was our absolute pleasure and honor. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions to Carrie, please send them to me, or Carrie, you said you will share your email.
Yes. I'm going to send, Rehan, I will send you an email with information about the mentor coaching requirements and the mentor coaching registry requirements, and also information about renewing a lapsed credential. And if you have any other questions that I can provide information on, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer those questions as well. Rehan, I'll also provide you a PDF of the slides from today that you can feel free to share out with participants as well as others who couldn't join live today.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I will, definitely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you.